I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I think spring's coming. It looks beautiful outside. Okay, and then if you haven't done your 50-50 yet, can y'all please do it because Pat's going to be collecting. Raise your hand if you need her to come to you. We have quite a few. And thank Pat for doing it. Our 50-50 girls is for Independence House in Hyannis. We're doing it one charity for 3 months at a time so that they get more money from us. So thank you for supporting our charities. We really appreciate it. And I want to thank where is Nancy? Right here. I want to thank Nancy, right? She's our guest speaker today. We're all excited about it. And before we start, can the ladies who have these lovely dresses on come up so that the TV can take pictures of them, please? Wait a minute, put your thing back in your hair. Come on over here by me. I don't want to be in it though. Oh yeah, well, you have the top to your wedding gown. Please come up. Susie, please come up. You have your lovely. Oh, you're I'm the mother or the grandmother, whatever. So we want to put you on TV and get pictures. Yellow. Can somebody please take a picture because Pat's busy?
Oh yeah.
Can somebody please take a picture of these girls? This is amazing. This is the fun, girls. This is the fun in fundraising. We are having a good time doing this, and so appreciate all of your just fun times and your enthusiasm and enthusiasms. Here comes the bride. Okay, and before you move, everybody tell your name. Terry Taylor, Valerie Gates,
Robin Anthony, Karen Mark.
Thank you, girls. Thank you. Give them a big clap. I can't tell you, y'all made this so special. Thank you very much. Okay, we have some guests today. Dana, where's Dana? Dana. Dana, going once, going twice. Dana's not here yet. Okay, Sandy Goffrey, thank you for coming. And Sharon Pierce. Sharon, thank you. Where are you from? Mashpee? Welcome, Sharon. It's nice to have you. Okay, I want to thank our greeters, Linda and Terry, for Terry. Raise your hand. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, we thank Pat. Okay, I want to thank Carolyn Holmes. It was her. She did the centerpieces, and she had this wonderful idea about the albums. And I want to thank Carolyn. Raise your hand, please. Thank you, Carolyn. And while you're raising your hands, why don't you talk about the next speaker?
Hello, ladies. It's a gorgeous day. Anyways, next month, you think this month is good. Next month, we're having Colonel Michael Porter coming from Camp Edwards Base. He's going to talk about all the goings-on there. They command over 17,000 acres of land. 6,000 recruits go through each year. It's amazing. He's going to talk about the environmental impact. And we are so fortunate to have the National Guard so close to us. If God forbid we need them, they're right down the street. So please come and support it and listen to them. I can't wait. And you might know I kind of like when people dress up. If you feel like wearing any of your camouflage clothes, or if you have husbands or boyfriends or children that are in the military and you have any of those clothes, please wear them. It's always fun. against the law? Well, we're above the law here at New Nothing matters. All right, and May, and I'm not going to pronounce her name right, is the new owner from Verdi's, Hyra, and I can't pronounce her last name, but she's going to do all kinds of floral arrangements and explain how she chooses the flowers, how she arranges them, and I don't know if you ladies have ever read The Language of Flowers. And in the back of the book, and I always said I was going to do this, but I haven't. In the back of the book, they say what each flower means. So if you were sending someone a congratulatory bouquet, you would choose certain ones. But anyways, that's going to be May. And June is our fashion show. J. Jill is fabulous. Bought this there on sale at 60% off, just to let you know. And then July, I have to say it, we are having international author Nancy Thayer. She's coming here. I cannot wait. Her new book is coming out during Daffodil Weekend in Nantucket. So it's going to be a sellout. I cannot wait. But anyways, you're sick of listening to me. I'm giving it back to Susan.
In August, we announced this before, we have Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth is coming to visit us, and that's going to be another sellout performance. She's amazing. Cheryl Faye. Oh, yeah, I was thinking of Nancy Thayer because we just locked her down. But we already have a contract too with for Queen Elizabeth, so she will be there in August, and that will be definitely a sellout as well. So now I want to send it over to Cindy. Can you talk about the...
Yeah, absolutely. I want to let everybody know about the golf outing for this year, for those of you who are interested. So this year we're going to be early in the month, June 4th, a Tuesday. We will be sending the registration slips out to everybody probably later on this week or early next week. It will sell out fast. We have 48 spots, and once we continue on the way, I expect it'll fill up very quickly. We will open it to the public if I don't have all 48 slots filled by May 1st. So start thinking about your foursomes, who you want to play with, and then you can put that on the registration form. Price this year will be just about the same. We haven't nailed it down completely, but we're going to be roughly the same that we were last year. We will play, and we will play rain or shine. We didn't get to play last year. For those of you who were with us, we had a fun day, but it was full of thunderstorms and flooded out. So we're hoping to actually get on the course this year. Once again, registration will open promptly at 7:30. All this information will be sent out to you, but we have instructions at 8:15 and a tea time start, shotgun start at 8:30 sharp. For the foursomes, we welcome guests. The way we're doing pricing is the price will be one price for the members and a slightly elevated price for guests. All foursomes must require at least one club member. So that's a way to make sure that we get all of the club members the ability to play. This year we're going to focus on fun. June is a busy month. We've got the fashion show. So what we're going to do is it's going to be about fun, but we can still have a raffle. Raffles, I would like to request, come from the players. The prizes should come from the players. Maybe a foursome puts a little package together, and we can raffle those off, and we can still have fun. We will still have a prize for the winning foursome. There will be two prizes for closest to the pin on the front and the back. I do recommend that you plan on bringing cash, because we will be doing that. We'll have opportunities also for you to spend money buying mulligans. We'll have a mulligan on the front and the back nine. They'll go for $5 a piece. All the proceeds that we raise will go to the scholarship fund like we did in the past. And I will be asking for some help from you ladies. I'll do the beginning part of it, getting all the foursomes set up. But when we get closer to the event, I'm anxious to have help running the registration table, the raffle, etc. So you'll see my name and my phone number and my email on the registration form. I hope I'll hear from you all. Good.
Thank you, Cindy. Don't forget, I don't want anybody to get left out, so please, as soon as you get your foursome, make sure you send it to Cindy. I'm sending mine in today.
Good, thank you.
Right, Carolyn? Yes. Okay, before we go any further, I don't know if you know that we have this amazing new website, thanks to Susan Thomas. And you got to talk about it. She's been amazing.
I don't even know what to say. We have a new website, new logo, some functionality on, that one thing I will say, there's a new member area that we will be, when we have private things to communicate, we can communicate them through there. That's where the directory is. There's a password, which I wish I could say off the top of my head, but I can't say it. Yep.
Mashpee 1212, all lowercase. Mashpee 1212 lowercase.
Okay. And that, right now, primarily what's in there is you can get the directory from there, and if you want to look up, an email or a phone number for anybody that you've met, or somebody that you want to contact in some way, you can do that through there. I think the biggest thing about the website that we put in is to add some information about our club in general, and to make it, to really be able to say what a fun place it is and all the things we already know about it. There's photos from each event, there's information about upcoming events, and it's just a way to talk about our mission, the organizations we contribute to, and a way for people to who aren't currently members, to get information about us so they can join. And I will say, I can speak for our membership director, Mary Liz, that we constantly get new members, so we just keep growing and growing. We're up at over 250 right now?
Almost 260. We have a lot of members.
Yeah, so that's it.
She did a lot of work, and she deserves a big applause. Thank you. Linda, what am I missing on that? On the website, on the logo or anything? Linda, all the name tags are done? Did you want to talk about the name tag? Okay. Yes.
If on your name tag, like Susan, for example, goes by Susie, but when they were printed, I didn't catch some of that. So if you would like your name tag corrected, just make that notation and I will print you a new one so that you have the name that you go by.
Thank you. And I was kind of waiting for Pat, but she's still not here. She's collecting. Pat is head of our nominating committee. So we have our nominating committee chosen. We'll be sending it out. But I wanted you to see Pat's face, but she's hiding. And she's maybe contacting you. Please, if she does, think about doing something for the club, because that old age saying, and it's true, the more you put into something, the more you get out of it. So we would really appreciate some new blood, and just the enthusiasm that we're getting here. It's just been unbelievable. So did you want to say anything, Pat?
If anyone's interested, it's a great club. It's a lot of wonderful women that belong to it, so you would benefit enormously. So give me a call or text me, email me, whatever.
Whoever's on the nominating committee, would you raise your hand so they can at least see you? Several are here. High up. Okay, good. And there's a couple of others that aren't here, and I will be sending that out. Okay, now we have Karen. She has been so generous for us for our fundraiser here, for our trip to Tuscany. And I'm going to give her the mic, but I want a big round of applause for her too, because she's done a lot of work on this. Thank you, Karen.
I think you can hear me, right? So I'm Karen Wendell. I haven't been to a meeting in a while. I run Adventures with Karen. And I'm trying to do some charity things in the community. And I picked the Mashpee Women's Club to try to work with, because after COVID, you welcomed me here and you helped me kick off getting some people signed up for trips. This is a fabulous organization. You give to so many in the community, not just in Mashpee, but the Cape. So I put a trip together. It's called Tuscan Treasures, featuring Cinque Terre, and lots of questions, who's going? So members: Lisa Bean, Joan Ford, Margaret Frieswick, Lori Lebrecht, Wendy Borenstein, Karen Mark, Mary Ann Jensen, Ellie Beth, Catherine Schwartz, Dale Hamilton Powers, Judy Sanford, Nancy Kurtz, Susie Rigo, Ian Cogan, Barbara Marchio, Jennifer Davis, Nancy Scheid, Linda Monchek, Patricia Morris, Teresa Garvey, Andrea Watson, and Kathy Gentili, and there's others going with them, but I believe those are the members. There were some new members because we gave a discount, which got extended, by the way. We're actually still offering the discount until April 1st. We have two doubles. And this, right now, this is a Mashpee Women's Club exclusive trip, so there's gonna be nobody from the outside on your trip. And I'm donating $100 per person to the Women's Club, and I'm also giving the Women's Club the tour conductors. You as members, you are not paying any more for the trip. In fact, you're getting all the discounts anybody else would get. I'm just paying it back a little bit with you folks, and I'm in talks with Barbara to maybe have one or two other local events around Italy, and we'll see how it goes. So if anybody is still interested, I know when this first came out, it was too early to have the air pricing, and a few people were on the fence, and a few people didn't want to commit so far in advance. But this is a fabulous single hotel stay. There's opera at the hotel, there's a spa at the hotel, and every day you go out and you go and you see things in Italy. Ladies, how bad can that be? Okay, so thank you so much, and I'm really looking forward to putting this on for you, and any questions you have, please let me know. I also have some newsletters if anybody is interested after lunch. I'd be happy to give one of those to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for those of you who are going on the trip. Those of you, Susie, raise your hand.
That's right.
Yeah. Raise your hand at those who are going on the trip from here. Awesome.
Hey, Karen, I'm Cindy Collins.
You're looking for the single.
I'm looking, you think there's two singles?
I don't,
Well, we'll take a double.
I have a double. I can guarantee you a double.
We'll guarantee the double, and if two singles come up, we'd love to split. I'm going with my son's fiance, so.
That kind of sounds like a Mamma Mia.
But yeah, I've got paperwork for you, so let's make sure, and I want to give you a deposit a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
So,
And you're getting the discount that everybody that signed up before got, so we're good.
good, good.
Enjoy your meal, girls.
Thank you, Susan.
Well, you're a good mother.
Pretty small. 50-50 raffle. And I really like her so much.
Girls, 50-50 raffle.
Yeah, 35. It's kind of like the opposite of what you're typically to Ireland. They're both England and work in Scotland. So in September. We're happy.
Girls, your raffle.
And other friends going to like raffle tests.
875-986. 986.
She's traveling, doing her kayaking, and she loves to exercise, unlike some of us. But anyways,
Yeah, after eating this.
today she's going to talk about the traditions of weddings, superstitions, unusual weddings. It's going to be great. Before she comes on, if you pick up one of your cups, there's a little coin under there, and you're the people that have the bouquet. You may take it home.
You got it.
Also, before I introduce Nancy, if there's anybody here that would like to help me out and do centerpieces, we have some openings for April, May, and July. Please see me afterwards. I do have a list, and I welcome anyone that would like to take it on. So now I can start talking, and I can give you Nancy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, as you know, I was a retired teacher, am a retired teacher, but I strive to not have this be like my classroom. So if you have something that you want to say, shout out, you won't be in trouble. So we're going to start looking at some wedding customs and superstitions from India. But I hope that you will, like this presentation will remind you of your own wedding, of your children's wedding, and just be a lot of fun. So feel free to shout out anything that you'd like. So in India, seeing a rainbow, a black cat, or a chimney sweep on your wedding day is considered a good omen. I don't know whether we'd see a chimney sweep on Cape Cod, though. It's considered a bad omen to see a pig, a lizard, or an open grave on your wedding day. I think that goes without saying. So this painting on your hands, the darker the mendi, the more the love of the bride will get from her future mother-in-law. So in early times, girls who did household work before marriage tended to have dark skin, and so that would make the mendi come out dark. So a dark mendi symbolized to the mother-in-law that the bride was hardworking and would take on all the household tasks. So that made the mother-in-law very, very happy. Today, certain chemicals are added to the mendi to make it dark. So way to fool your future mother-in-law. It is believed to be a bad omen if boiling milk spills any time before, during, or after the wedding. Not sure how it would spill during the wedding. And then showering the married couple with rice is thought to bring fertility and wealth to the bride. So the bride is expected to spill a vessel of rice inward before she steps into her new home. And she does this by upturning the vessel with her right foot and then walking through a plate of vermilion and orangish red flour. And next, she places her foot and handprints into her new home. Absolutely no candles may be lit on her wedding day. A sputtering candle is a sign of an evil spirit. A full moon right before the wedding is believed to bring good luck to the couple. So now we're transitioning to Ireland, and you may be familiar with this poem: Monday for wealth, Tuesday for health, Wednesday the best day of all, Thursday for losses, Friday for crosses, and Saturday no luck at all. But most of us were married on a Saturday. In Ireland, 40% of the weddings take place on Saturday, 30%, 33% on Friday, 14% on Thursday, and 13% on all the other days. And then as far as the color to wear, most of us wore white. Married in white, everything's right. Married in blue, lover be true. Married in pink, spirits will sink. Married in gray, live far away. Marry in brown, live out of town. Marry in green, ashamed to be seen, which is surprising with Ireland. Married in yellow, ashamed of your fellow. Married in black, wish you were back. Married in red, wish you were dead. So that's not a good. Married in tan, you'll be a loved man. And married in pearl, you'll live in a whirl. So historically, Irish brides favored blue dresses, and the exact shade would vary. Brides would carry a horseshoe into the church for good luck, and it would always be pointing upwards so that the luck never ran out. And then we're all familiar with this poem: something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, and a silver sixpence in your shoe. Now, ironically, the silver sixpence coin has been out of circulation since 1969, and the value of a worn sixpence is less than a US dollar. But if you needed one for your Irish wedding, you could purchase one online for about $10. It is two signs of bad luck: dishes that broke near the bride or groom on the morning of the wedding ceremony, or a dog licking either one of them, which that could pose a problem if they're dog lovers. And then when traveling to the church, passing a funeral meant bad luck for their entire married life. So you'd have to map out your route. If the wedding band fell to the floor at any point during the ceremony, I don't know if that's happened to anyone here, was considered extreme bad luck, and it was also considered bad luck for the bride or groom to sing during their own wedding ceremony. Good luck: guests were handed small bells to ring at certain periods during the ceremony, and that would ward off evil spirits. And then, if the bride got a tear during the ceremony, it was considered a sign of extreme, immediate good luck. So you can imagine the brides probably purposely ripping their dresses. After the ceremony, the groom would throw a handful of coins into the crowd outside the church to bring good luck to the married couple. Upon leaving the church, this could be a little dangerous. A wedding guest would throw an old shoe over the bride's head to bring her good luck. And then the bride and groom would eat salt and oatmeal at the beginning of their wedding reception to protect themselves from the evil eye. Moving on to Spain, black, not white, was the traditional wedding dress color for Catholic brides, and this was believed to symbolize the bride's commitment and devotion to her husband with the death till death do us part, and many modern brides continue to wear black. 13 gold or silver coins are given to the bride from the groom to demonstrate his responsibility as a provider and show his trust, that he trusts the bride with his possessions. And the coins represent Christ and his 12 apostles. At some Spanish weddings today, groom's friends will use scissors to cut up the groom's tie, and then they sell the pieces to guests to raise money for the newlyweds. And I have seen this happen one time, and I wasn't in Spain. And sometimes this is done with the bride's garter as well. Since orange trees are so prevalent in Spain, the orange blossom is the traditional Spanish flower. And for Spaniards, orange blossoms represent joy and happiness for the newly married couple. Orange blossoms are also a symbol of fertility. So here are 5 different customs and superstitions from different countries. In Mexico, they place this El Lazaro. It's symbolized to represent the two people becoming one. It's made of rosary beads and flowers, and it's draped around their shoulders in a figure 8. And the shape resembles the infinity symbol, and it signifies hope for a long-lasting marriage. Now here we are in Armenia, and they're balancing bread on their shoulders. Fortunately, it is encased in plastic. You wouldn't want to do that with just a loaf of bread. And so the newly married men and women have to balance the traditional flat bread on their shoulders. It's meant to keep evil spirits away from their marriage. And the couple will also eat spoonfuls of honey to symbolize happiness. In Congo, absolutely no smiling. The bride and groom are not permitted to smile before, during, or after the ceremony or the reception. It is believed that if the couple smiles, it shows that they are not taking their vows serious. And then here we are in Russia. Wedding parties in Moscow often head to the tomb of the unknown soldier to take photos and drink champagne. The bride and the groom pay their respects, laying flowers at the gravesite. And here we are in the Mikasa Islands, and the bride and groom are stepping over a carpet made of their family. At the end of the wedding, relatives of the bride and groom lied side by side, sometimes with their face down on the ground. The couple walks on this human carpet, and this tradition is the reminder for the couple to put each other first in their marriage and forego their family by stepping on their backs. You may not want to try this. So if you've had an opportunity to look at these wonderful wedding pictures and albums, we've seen a lot of wedding bouquets. And so why do brides carry flowers? This dates back to the Egyptians, the ancient Greeks, and Romans, and they carried fragrant herbs and spices to ward off bad luck. Floral garlands were worn by the bride and groom, but they were much, much smaller than the bouquets that brides carry today. The flowers symbolized a new beginning and brought hopes of fertility, happiness, and fidelity. And so the bouquets would include dill, which was an aphrodisiac, rosemary, loyalty, wheat, fertility, ivy, an unbreakable bond, and thistle, thyme, and heather and basil, protection. So during the Middle Ages, they counted on these bouquets for perfume. It would mask the couple's body odor. Bathing wasn't frequent, and apparently not even on your wedding day. And then, during the plague, they were surrounded by all sorts of unpleasant smells. They would add garlic and spice to the bouquet to ward off evil spirits and keep evil spirits and bad luck and curses away. So during the Middle Ages, there was the start of the bouquet toss. And before we end today, we are going to have a bouquet toss, so you're going to have to, flex your muscles and remember what it was like. Back in the day of bouquet tossing, I caught 7. And it got to the point where I would go to a wedding, I would know exactly where to stand. I don't know if there was anything mathematical about it, but I would watch and I would just basically go up. So in the Middle Ages, it was considered very good luck for female wedding guests to touch the bride. And if they touched the bride, they believed it would bring good luck and it would bring a proposal in the near future. So you can imagine the women all over the bride. And sometimes young women would try to grab a piece of the bride's dress to bring them good luck. So the idea of the bouquet toss was just an escape strategy. So they knew that everyone wanted a piece of the bride, and so they would throw the bouquet. All of the single women in attendance would grab for the bouquet, and then the bride could make her exit, so she could leave without being harmed. During the Victorian era, everyone wanted to mimic Queen Victoria, and so they wanted to copy her wedding flowers. She carried a nosegay as she walked down the aisle. She decorated her hair with an orange blossom crown. And her bouquet included myrtle, and that is still a custom in England to include that. And it's believed to strengthen the bonds of marriage and evoke the ancient goddess of love. So the flowers used, and I heard someone talking about the meaning of some of the flowers, and think about what your own bouquet was. An aster meant everlasting love, baby's breath, innocence and virginity, a dahlia, dignity and elegance, carnation, faithfulness, peonies, I saw some of those, compassion and a happy marriage, red rose, love and passion, a pink rose, undying happiness and joy, and a daisy, I saw a few of those, loyalty, purity, and beauty. And so let's look at a few of the wedding bouquets carried by people that we know and admire. Judy Garland, Elizabeth Taylor, there's Princess Diana, Audrey Hepburn, Diana Ross, Shirley Temple, Chelsea Clinton, Drew Barrymore, Marilyn Monroe, Barbara Streisand. There's Peggy Fleming and Jackie Kennedy. And now we'll talk about the wedding cake. Now, a wedding cake has been part of a marriage ceremony since the ancient Greeks and Romans. And as part of the ceremony, the groom would break bread over the bride's head. Now, I'm picturing that. She's gotten all, beautiful, and all of a sudden there were breadcrumbs falling on her. And this symbolized the bride's submission to her husband and also the end of her purity. So nothing says that like a roll being broken up on your head. And it also represented good luck and fertility. So then we go to medieval England, and they would take sweet buns and they would stack them up as high as possible, and then the bride and groom would attempt to kiss over the buns without them falling. And if they were able to successfully kiss over the stack, they would be guaranteed a prosperous life together. And it was a sign that they would produce many children. So then the croquembouche was inspired by that. But if you look carefully, yes, the spun sugar holds it together. So it's almost like a string. Originally they were just balancing and they could fall over at any moment. So a pastry chef from France visited England, saw the tradition of piling the sweet rolls. He returned to France, and that's when he created the first croquembouche, and it was encircled with caramelized sugar. Now, I know we just ate, so I'm almost afraid to tell you about the bride's pie, but around 16th and 17th century, a wedding cake became known as the bride's pie, and usually it was a mince pie made from sweetbreads, but in Robert May's 1685 recipe, it was filled with oysters, lamb testicles, pine kernel, egg, dried fruit, artichokes, and stuffed larks. Not something that you want to bite into. And the central compartment was filled with live birds or snakes. Now, Robert May said, which will seem strange to the beholders, which cut up the pie at the table, this is only for a wedding to pass away the time. So apparently the reception was not very exciting, so what better way to liven it up than with some live birds and snakes? And so every wedding guest was expected to eat a piece, and of course you'd probably try to take the piece from the edge where the snakes had not been. And it was considered rude and extremely bad luck not to do so. And there was a glass ring hidden inside the pie, and the female guest who found it would be the next one to wed. So you know, single women would be like, okay, I don't mind all those horrible things. I've got to find the glass ring. So the earliest known sweet wedding cake was England's Banbury cake, and it was a flat pastry. It was spiced currant-filled oval-shaped cake, and it was traditionally paired with tea. Now, we've all done this, sleeping with wedding cake under your pillow. How many, you did it, you must admit. No?
No.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I did it at least 7 or 8 times. So it dates back to the 17th century, and the wedding cake became a party favor, really, to send home with guests. It was not eaten at the reception, and a single guest placed the cake under their pillow to inspire pleasant dreams about their future partner. And now this part is a little unusual. Some brides would sleep with pieces of cake in their left stocking, so apparently they're sleeping with their stocking on too, and the rest under their pillows after passing the pieces of cake through the bride's wedding ring. So I'm not sure. They would be very, very small pieces. But I remember hearing that, maybe from my grandmother, and all I would get was the next morning you would get this flat, like it would be in a plastic bag, or and it was just a flat piece of cake. So I'm happy to see that we have a wedding cake topper here. The royal cake topper, anytime that I do research, I'm always find that there are a number of stories indicating the history of just about anything. So it is impossible to identify when and where the first wedding cake topper was used, but most people credit the 1840 wedding of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, and their cake topper was very elaborate. It had several miniature statues, including Britannia, a female personification of Great Britain, and on top she was blessing the royal couple, but they were wearing Roman costumes. So soon it became popular for small figurines of a bride and groom to appear on top of commoners' cakes. So this is a 1900 advertisement for Tom Smith's wedding cake toppers, and here is one created before World War I. And if you haven't had an opportunity to look, that one has a similar top hat. Here we are in the 1940s, the 1950s. These are in the National Museum of American History, 1948, 1956, 1972. And that one is in the Montana Historical Society, and this one is 1940, 1950. And here are a few more. So think about what your cake topper was. So now let's look at some amazing cakes. This was Elvis Presley and Priscilla Ann Presley. They had a yellow cake filled with apricot marmalade and Bavarian cream. It was covered with more than 1,000 edible roses. Their names were written on it. To create the cake, 20 pounds of Crisco shortening, 48 2-inch sugar hearts, and 478 silver sugared almonds. And this is Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. They had an unstacked lemon and elderflower cake, 150 fresh flowers, and it was decorated with Swiss meringue buttercream. And here is Debbie Reynolds and Eddie Fisher. This is Grace Kelly and Prince Rainier, the third 6-tiered wedding cake, and it featured a 3-dimensional replica, right down here, of Monaco's Pink Palace. It had the crest of Monaco recreated in red and white spun sugar on the middle tiers, and at the top there were 2 cherubs, and they held a replica of the crown of Monaco. This is Maria Hawkins, Ellington, and Nat King Cole. Here we have Betty Davis and William Grant Sherry. And this is George Clooney and his bride. It was a square Art Deco style chocolate wedding cake with lots of striking geometric patterns. There was no traditional cake topper. The tier was accented with a decorative sugar piece and also made in the classic Art Deco style. And here we have Prince William and Kate's cake. It was a fruit cake, 3 feet tall, 8 tiers. It weighed 220 pounds. It had softer icing on it than the traditional royal icing. It was decorated with 17 different flowers and leaves. 900 plus details were crafted by hand out of sugar, and it also included the couple's monogram. And then the top tiers were preserved so that the cake could be served at the christening of their first child. And here we are with Aretha Franklin and her husband. And this is Ginger Rogers and Lou Ayres, 1934, topped with a large look-alike doll of Ginger. And that is a pretty large, that's the size of a Barbie doll. Here we are, Donald and Melania Trump. It was a 7-tier yellow sponge cake flavored with orange zest, filled with buttercream. It weighed more than 200 pounds. It featured 2,000 individually constructed flowers spun from sugar, but not served to the guests due to the wire infrastructure underneath the cake. So it cost $50,000 and no one could eat it. And the guests were sent home with a boxed miniature cake. So I don't know if anyone here has experienced a Las Vegas wedding. It's the top wedding destination in the United States. More than 300 couples every single day, over 100,000 weddings a year. In 1931, gambling was legalized, and then throughout the 1930s, Nevada relaxed their marriage laws, and so it became the easiest state to get married. There were no blood tests required, no waiting period, and marriage licenses were given out right up until midnight. Movie stars made the trip from Hollywood to Las Vegas to take advantage of this simple, discreet ceremony out of the limelight. So the original wedding chapel in Las Vegas, here it is. 1927, it was built as a home, and the original owners were from Scotland. And in 1939, they used the small entrance to their home for a wedding chapel. It was originally named McGee Wedding Chapel. In 1949, it was named Greta Green Wedding Chapel, and that was after a village on the English-Scotland border, which is world famous as a romantic wedding destination. Here's some old advertisements. Always open, 24 hours, immediate arrangements. You'll be glad that you stopped. So it got put on the map in 1967 when there was an unannounced knock on the door, and who was it but Elvis Presley. He came in for a short visit and a tour of the chapel, and in 1977, after Elvis's death, they renamed it Graceland Wedding Chapel. That same year, they started the Elvis-themed ceremonies, and it remains the most iconic chapel in Las Vegas, and it continues to be recognized as the very first Elvis-themed wedding ceremony. There were two other early chapels. They were right across the street from each other, the Weekirk O'Heather and the Hitching Post. And then this is the Little Church of the West. In 1942, it was originally part of the Last Frontier Hotel, and it was the first freestanding chapel on the Strip. It was a replica of an Old West mining town church. The exterior was cedar, the interior California redwood. Here it is being moved. And there were some very famous marriages there. 1943, Betty Grable. 1949, Zaza Gabor. 1965, Judy Garland. 1988, Dudley Moore. And in 1991, Richard Gere. So here is the Little White Chapel, established in 1951. There were 10 ministers on staff standing by, and some of their, well, they highlight two on their sign, Joan Collins and Michael Jordan, but some other famous marriages, Frank Sinatra, Judy Garland, Mickey Rooney twice. I don't know whether, I think I'd pick another chapel. Bruce Willis, Mary Tyler Moore, and Paul Newman. Now this is the original drive-through wedding from the comfort of your own car. In 1991, it actually had a very nice, very caring beginning because the owner, Charlotte Richards, noticed a disabled couple that was having trouble getting out of their car and making their way into the chapel. And so she thought, wouldn't it be nice if there was an easier way? And so the window opened on Valentine's Day, but now it has become a novelty for all couples. It includes a romantic ceiling, and the couple, once they pull up, they move to the back seat of the car for the ceremony. And I feel like you rent a car because you need to have a convertible. And it just lasts for about 10 minutes. You never have to get out of the car. And then this is the Sure Thing Chapel. All pets are welcome. Not just your dogs. They'll take snakes, birds, and hamsters because you don't want to leave your hamster at home for your wedding. You can get married by Elvis. This is caught on at many. But then they have the Shirley the Showgirl, Satan's Showgirl, and Helvis. So there have been many weddings at the White House, only one by a president. And so President Grover Cleveland and Frances Folsom, Frances was actually christened Frankie, but they began to use the name Frances when she became the First Lady. But there's a strange story. The president President Cleveland had been the business associate with Frankie's mother, and they were law partners. And when Frankie was born, she grew up calling him Uncle Cleve, and he actually bought her baby carriage for her when she was an infant. And then he married her. This was the only time that a sitting president was married in the White House. It was located in the Blue Room. They decorated it with flowers and houseplants. The fireplace was filled with flowers, red and yellow, to simulate a fire. There was no press allowed. They invited the press in to take a look before the wedding took place. Just 31 guests, family, friends, and then members of the cabinet and their wives. The president worked a full day before the wedding ceremony. The word obey was removed from her vows. The ceremony just lasted 10 minutes, and the city celebrated with the ringing of bells, blowing of ships' horns, a 21-gun salute, and then they held a public reception a week later. So here is her wedding gown, and here's a quote: "Nearly every dressmaker in the country and their customers waited with bated breath to learn what the young and pretty new First Lady would wear on her historic wedding day." She was only 21, and she, at this time, is the youngest First Lady, and I believe she will hold that record forever. We don't know. The wedding dress was designed in Paris, satin, silk, and fine muslin. It's described as elegant and charming, a very heavy skirt that they said could stand on its own. And the sleeves reached down to her elbows, right where her gloves met them. And take a look at that insert. In her wedding, on her wedding day, not to be too revealing, she wore a satin dickie inside so that there wasn't a plunging neckline. She carried no flowers and wore no jewelry except an engagement ring containing a sapphire and 2 diamonds. Now, most of us, except for this woman over here, ever wear our wedding dresses a second time. But after the wedding, Frances got her gown altered to wear at public receptions, and she had the long train removed, and she had it dyed a rose pink. And later, she had the gown altered again to wear in her formal portrait. Thrifty Mining Grover would have frowned on a one-time only wear. So here we have Linda Bird Johnson, and she married Marine Captain Charles Chuck Robb. Her wedding dress was high-necked, long-sleeved, a narrow A-line type dress. It was made of pearl with white Abraham silk from a Swiss mill, and it cost $1,200. The wedding day was December 9th, 1967. On the day of the wedding, CBS broadcasts an interview with the President Johnson and his wife. The ceremony took place at 4 p.m. in the East Room. There they are with the whole wedding party, 7 bridesmaids. They wore long-sleeve red velvet gowns, matching velvet hair bows with streamers, and they carried bouquets of red flowers. Following the ceremony, the newlyweds walked under a saber arch formed by 6 Marine captains, and next they went to the yellow oval room for wedding portraits. They had 650 guests. They asked them to leave the East Room so that they could prepare it for the reception, and then the room was reopened and they were welcomed back in. They had a buffet. Their cake was a lemon-flavored pound cake. They had the music featured a special song called "It's Always Linda," and the bride and groom departed from the White House in a helicopter. And here is Tricia Nixon on June 12th, 1971. We have a local connection here. Many of you have probably visited Priscilla of Boston. Maybe your wedding dress was from there. She chose a sleeveless gown, and it was considered very controversial. The New York Times said it is considered unusually revealing for that decade. It was a white crepe molded underslip. and it had layers of silk organza, a V-neckline, a trumpet-style skirt with a court train, and embroidered flowers. So there were 400 guests, and when they arrived for the wedding, they were brought inside because there was a very questionable weather forecast, but somehow the storm held out, and they were welcomed back outside for a ceremony at 4:30. And then here is their cake, 6 tiers, a lemon-pound cake weighing 350 pounds, and it was able to serve all of the guests as well as the press. And newspapers were trying to find out the recipe for the cake. So finally, the White House released a recipe for a 12-inch version of this big cake, because you wouldn't want to make this one at home. So now we're going to take a break from tradition and look at some very unusual wedding ceremonies. And this one I can't get enough of. 400 feet above the ground, and they are on, this is a netting, and you'll see in future pictures, 2018 near Moab, Utah. It's above the desert floor on a net stretched across the canyon. On their second date, the couple had attended a slacklining festival. And so if you're not familiar, slacklining is a sport that involves walking across strips of webbing strung loosely between 2 points, and it's similar to tightrope. So here comes the groom, and look at that. He's wearing regular shoes on that, I know. And then here comes the bride, and the bride's father had to be behind her because it was so narrow he would be risking it. And I read that he actually fell forward, like this whole slacklining thing was not his gig, and he did it. And I was trying to picture my parents doing that for me, and I don't think so. And he actually fell, and then he got himself up, and he was so happy when he finally delivered her to the net. And so they added this aisle just for the wedding, because traditional slacklining, you have to go on like just a narrow piece of rope and so while the couple exchanged their vows, their friends were performing some aerial acts. So here's someone right here performing acts, because your friends like to do things. Here are the flower girls. They were base jumpers who plunged off the cliff with 5,000 petals in their packs. And you have to look it up online, because it is just the pictures are remarkable. And the bride started out with this beautiful white dress, but after going on the red earth, it was not.
And she probably had a few tears in it.
Yes, which was very good luck. So there they are looking down, and there are some hang gliders, and there is aerial moves on a silk. So we've seen underwater weddings where divers, people who love to dive, get married underwater, but this was a little unusual. This was the Aquarina Springs. It was an amusement park in Texas, and that's an underwater clown and a synchronized swimmer who fell in love underwater. And so this park had an underwater theater, and so they went down the stairs, and there was an altar, but the reverend, very smart man, officiated via a loudspeaker. He wasn't inside. So there they are, like very old school, with just this little breathing apparatus in their mouth. And they were surrounded by fish. The couple said their vows as they gulped air from an underwater hose. And the bride's wedding dress was held down with diving weights. And this story was featured March 8th, 1954 in Life magazine. And at the time, it was very popular. It was one of the biggest commercial tourist attractions in Texas. And it boasted the world's only submarine theater. And here they are, the maid of honor and the best man coming out of the water. So probably the last place you would consider getting married was at a fast food restaurant. But in Hong Kong, it's very popular. And of course, the headlines, each one is a little more crazy than the others. Here come the fries. McDonald's launches McWeddings in Hong Kong. I'll have a McWedding with a Big Mac and a side of fries. Till Big Mac do us part, McDonald's hosts weddings. And so there you have it. If you want to save a little money, I think you could by doing this. The deluxe package includes an apple pie cake. What more could you want? There they are. And it really is a very big deal. And then, not to be outdone, Burger King has also had, and this was Joel Berger, because of the names, and Ashley King tie the knot in a whopper of a wedding, for better or for worse, for richer or poorer, with French fries or with onion rings. And so, Burger King treated them to a nice wedding, and the groomsmen posed with Burger King shirts under their suits. And this was an interesting love story that took place at Dunkin' Donuts. The worker from Dunkin' Donuts was named Sugar. She was the general manager of a Dunkin' franchise. John was a customer that went through the drive-thru. And after 1 year, Sugar held back for a year. She handed him her card. And then 8 months later, they got engaged in the parking lot. And then 6 months after that, they got married in the drive-thru. And glazed and maple glazed donuts for everyone. And in 2021, a New York couple said I do in the Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru after winning a statewide contest. And probably in 2020 and 2021, you would feel like that was a safe place to get married. And then this couple had a Dunkin' Donut photo shoot because the shop is owned by the bride's parents. But you would be surprised at how many photos there are of people doing photo shoots at their favorite fast food. So why not? If you can't get married at your favorite fast food, why not a store? And here's a couple getting married at Costco. And the bride said, we have so much in common, but Costco is the first thing. I don't know whether I put a lot of stake in a wedding where that is the thing that you have the most in common. The groom's vows, I remember the way we meandered up and down the aisles and how I completely forgot to get most of the things I had on my list because I couldn't take my eyes off of you. It had to be in the Costco where we had our first date. Here's a Home Depot wedding. The wedding guests marched down an aisle of light bulbs, grills, and paint to the outdoor garden section where a wedding arbor and a stage built from the store's lumber and supplies. And the wedding vows in copper pipes and elbows, in lumber and in concrete, in sickness and in health, for better, for worse, until death do us part. Doesn't that just tug at your heartstrings? And then Aldi And if this sounds good, I just read that there is an Aldi coming to Falmouth. So you may, at the old Christmas tree shop. And the wife said, we've always cherished our Sunday morning shopping dates at Aldi. It's something we look forward to doing each week. As soon as we heard about the contest to get married in Aldi, we both agreed it was fate. And so these Michigan residents became the first couple to wed in the grocery chain. And the wedding officiant, of course, was Aldi's marketing manager, of course, and he delivered a grocery pun-filled monologue. And there they are with their Aldi cake. And so, of course, someone would want a roller coaster wedding. So marriage does have its ups and downs, and it did right from the start. They picked the world's tallest, fastest, longest giga coaster in North America at the Carowinds Amusement Park in Charlotte, North Carolina, 325 feet high, speed of 95 miles an hour, 3.25 minutes. So they had their first date there. And they rode the Fury 325 coaster a dozen times on their first date. And the groom even joked and said, I'm going to marry you on this roller coaster. So the trouble that they had was finding a minister who would actually go on the roller coaster. And so most of the ones that they questioned were terrified, but finally they went on social media, they found an officiant who loved the coaster as much as they did, and so there they are in the front row, the wedding party's in the second row, and then here is one closer to home, just in case you don't want to travel to North Carolina. This was at Six Flags New England in Agawam. And their officiant and bridal party and 30 other guests rode the coaster together. And as the coaster sped down, the couple screamed, I do. Now, so romantic. So then, a zero-gravity wedding, everyone's trying to top someone else. So it's definitely a new meaning to Head Over Heels in Love. Took place June 2009. A New York couple became the first people to be married on a zero-gravity flight. It simulates the experience that astronauts have on a spacewalk. And so there they are. They're science fiction fans, and they did not want, apparently, a traditional wedding. They exchanged rings made from a precious metal which were fragments from a meteorite that crashed to Earth in Namibia 30,000 years ago. So they definitely do not want to go to Jared or any place to get a ring. The flight lasted 90 minutes. It made 16 roller coaster type dives. And the bride's dress was actually a pantsuit. And they paid more than $12,000 for this miserable experience. And something went wrong when they had their first kiss. The physics of the first kiss were off. I could feel where I was going. I knew where I needed to be. This is the groom talking. But it was hard to reconcile the differences. And then the bride said, Noah knocked into my nose, and I thought it would bleed. It has to be all up from there. So we're going to close with the oldest couple on their wedding day. And the world's oldest couple on their wedding day, a combined age of 191 years, 126 days. They were located there. They live in England. They were married on the groom's birthday. He was 103, she was 91. They dated for 27 years. They had been living together for 25. But the couple that I really liked was the one that they beat out, because they have a true love story. They had their combined age was only 191 years, 126 days. They were in France. They lived at the same rest home, and the groom was 96, bride was 94, and they fell in love over a garlic press. So if you know anyone in a nursing home that's single, give them a garlic press. Mr. Fernandez, a widower, said he fell in love with Mrs. Francino, a divorcee, after helping her with her garlic press. I don't know if that's like a code word. In return, I asked for a kiss. They moved to the same floor, but very wisely, they continued to sleep in their separate rooms. So, I say thanks for joining me, but I actually joined you. We're going to have a raffle, and if you did not get one of the favors, that table there is empty, and so you should take one as you leave. But does everyone have a rose petal that, and if you, it has a number, so grab it. If there happened to be an extra one at your table, grab that too. Now, traditionally, for a wedding gift, you would be looking for like dishware, pans, maybe, but these are just small trinkets of fun. And on the back, I have to do a little shameless advertising. On the back of your favor has my email address. I speak on a wide variety of topics, so if you know anyone associated with a library, an assisted living community, a club, some of my more popular topics are Massachusetts linked to Titanic, the Great Molasses Flood. I do coming up, a new one that's coming out next month is on the Coconut Grove fire. So definitely get in touch with me. And so we have a few wonderful gifts. And I ask you, just so we don't make a mess, maybe take this home with you and then open it up at home. Or you don't want to make people jealous when you win, when you win like some valuable prize. But numbers 5, 8, and 10, where are you? Come on up. Oh, the bride. There you go. There you go. And of course, we will end in just a minute with, and then what about 27, 31, and 12? 27, 31, and 12.
I have 34.
27 and 12.
Wow, look at that, at the same table. Anyone else? All right, coming your way, you're welcome. And I was enjoying looking through these albums. Who is the person who bought the one where you were married with your sister? That is you? Oh my goodness, that must have been amazing. How did you decide to do that?
Well, my sister was engaged before I was, and then my husband flew home from law school in California to propose to me. So it was within the same time frame that she was getting married, so we decided
Wow.
to share it, and it turned out to be lovely.
Oh my goodness, what a wonderful, wonderful memory. Okay, and what about 33, 25, and 3? 33, 25, and, oh, oops, oh my goodness, I'm sorry I unwrapped your gift for you. Awesome. So now we need to gather for the toss of the wedding bouquet. And the toss of the wedding bouquet is winning this amazing prize. So you don't want to miss out on that. And you're welcome to keep this, but these are not real flowers. But how about if you gather right here, and I'm going to toss it to you. And make sure someone is getting this on film. You remember what it was like. You don't have to be single. Yeah, right. Oh my goodness. You have to make sure that it doesn't hit anything. All right. Yay! I have to get a picture. Hold your bouquet. We need a picture of this.
It was fun.
There you go. Thank you. So thank you very much.